You know you're healed when you can be around the same person or circumstance or reality and not be affected by it when you once were. Because the truth is, we can't be taken out of peace. Peace and love do not leave us. So it's our own ego mind that's looking onto other people, onto circumstances, onto realities and saying, that is the cause to why I'm not at peace. And that is not true. The ego wants peace in specific forms. God's peace is already here regardless of form. And so we have to align our own sense of peace, our own will, to God's will and God's peace. And so the ego is going to run around and maintain being affected by it. For example, if you're always affected by your parents, let's say they are cutting you down, right? Shame, criticism, or just their really negative behavior, negative energy, your parents or anyone else. If you've never healed out of that, meaning you have not developed enough grace and compassion and space within yourself to allow people to be them and have it not affect you, then you don't know that it's possible. So you have to question yourself, is there peace here that I currently do not see? How do I know peace is not here? Because it's you, it's our own mind that's narrating all of reality. It's our own mind that's cultivating feelings. But again, if it's from childhood and you never built a familiarity outside of always being triggered by someone saying this or doing this or your parent or a specific person, then you don't know what's possible. And so we don't want to double down because that's what the ego will always do. It's not going to question, can I find peace here outside of my own desires and rules of what peace should look like? Because that's what the ego is going to do, create individuality separate from whatever the peace of God is. Because here's the thing is, the peace of God would say that person isn't doing anything to you. But the ego's peace says, yep, they're directing it towards me, so they're projecting, and that's real because the ego also does that. The ego's going to say, my thoughts about that person's behaviors and actions are true, that I really see who they are. No, the ego's afraid of the death of the individual self. That's why it allows others to affect it, because it also thinks it can affect others. But God is saying you cannot be affected. And so this is where we have to release and relinquish our own rules and circumstantial expectations or people expectations of where if they do that, then I can't be happy. If they do that, then I can't be at peace. We're the ones with those beliefs and those narrations. And so every time it comes up, you have to remind yourself, I am limited in my own perception, in my own space and truth of what peace and love is, which is why I don't have it in this circumstance, which is why I don't see it in this circumstance or in this person. So let me forgive this. And when you ask God, higher self, Holy Spirit, for the grace so you can perceive it, that's true healing. It's you acknowledging you must be creating this perception, and it must not be true if it's not one of peace and love, because truth is liberating. So then let me remove and forgive this restriction, so then the truth can be illuminated to me beyond the ego's own thoughts.